Good day everyone, I am Makasilig Almart G, a BSHM3 student of Negros Oriental State University, Shatun campus. Today, I am going to discuss about climate change. So what is climate change? Climate change is a long-term change in the statistical distribution of weather patterns over the period of time. So climate change is the defining issue of our time, and we are at the defining moment. From shifting weather patterns that threaten food production to rising sea levels that increase the risk of catastrophic flooding. The impacts of climate change are global in scope and unprecedented in scale. Without drastic actions today, adapting to these impacts in the future will be more difficult and costly. Climate change has been known to cause resource scarcity, and what that means in tourism is the threat of decreasing resources, such as cultural and natural, and declining value and attractiveness to the tourist. The presence of wildlife gets affected, and both tourists and local people become affected too. As a result of climate change, tourist concerns are growing, which is having a severe impact on the profitability of many destinations, as well as visitor decision-making, behavior, and spending patterns. So, in relation within the tourism industry, climate change has been a big problem because it has affected our natural resources, which is the source of profit in the tourism industry, and it has also affected the decision-making of every tourist. So these are the types of climates all over the world. The tropical climates such as the Maldives, Hawaii, and the 18 degrees Celsius or the 64.4 degree Fahrenheit temperature places. The dry climates such as Costa Rica, South Africa, and the 40 degrees Celsius or the 104 degree Fahrenheit temperature places. The temperate climate in the Canada, Europe, and above negative 3 degrees Celsius or 26.6 degrees Fahrenheit, but below 18 degrees Celsius or 64.4 degrees Fahrenheit temperature places. Continental climate such as Finland and the negative 12 degrees Celsius to the negative 1 degree Celsius in winter to 21 degrees Celsius to 27 degrees Celsius in summer temperature places. The polar climate such as the North and the South Pole, and the negative 40 to 0 degrees Celsius or the negative 40 to 32 degrees Fahrenheit temperature places. Although there are a lot of destinations that has been affected by climate change, these are my top 5 destinations that has been affected by climate change. We've all heard about the harmful effects of global warming on the world's plants, animals, and other environmental elements, but there's another, less obvious component that suffers too: tourism. Some of the world's most beautiful places are the same ones most threatened by climate change. The Amazon. The Amazon rainforest is a lush tropical jungle encompassing more than 2 million square miles in South America. Home to 10% of the world's known species, its biodiversity draws tourists to 9 different countries to see it. Yet, rising temperatures have threatened those very animals. Last year, the World Wildlife Fund, or the WWF, warned that half of the wildlife in the Amazon could disappear in the next 50 years. Stonehenge. Set atop Salisbury Plain in England, Stonehenge draws roughly 1.5 million visitors to its giant stone circles. Yet, UNESCO warned in 2016 that the prehistoric monument is in danger due to rising sea levels, more intense storms, and a deteriorating coastline in which 17% is already eroding throughout the UK. Climate change will alter environmental conditions at these monuments and their associated landscapes, the report stated. Alaska's rugged peaks, rushing rivers, and beautiful terrain make for an awe-inspiring tourist destination filled with bears, fish, moose, bison, and other wildlife. However, it is currently among the most vulnerable destinations in the world to climate change. Threats include deteriorating coastlines, melting ice caps, crumbling roads, and trees growing in areas that used to be tundra. Not only that, wildlife are suffering too. Some are also at risk of going extinct. Antarctica is one of the tourist destinations where the impact of climate change is perhaps the most obvious. The air temperature on the southernmost continent, which hosted 50,000 tourists in 2018, has increased by 5.4 degrees Fahrenheit, 5 times the mean rate of global warming according to the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. As the latter occurs, whale, leopard seals, and penguin populations are affected. Iceland is one of the most scenic places on Earth, with towering fjords and cascading waterfalls. A nation that attracts legions of tourists to its pristine beauty. Unfortunately, the natural wonder is facing increasing threats as climate change melts its glaciers and shrinks its ice caps. In fact, the change is happening so rapidly that the local authorities have begun discussing what will happen when the northern ice cap fully melts, and whether it might become a trade route. The scientific evidence is now overwhelming. Climate change is a serious global threat, and it demands an urgent global response. Climate change will affect the basic elements of life for people around the world, such as the access to water, food production, health, and the environment. Hundreds of millions of people could suffer hunger, water shortages, and coastal flooding as the world warms. Climate change also possesses challenges to tourism. However, it is possible to identify opportunities for the sustainable development of the activity by observing climate change scenarios, especially for destinations more vulnerable to extreme weather events, which may affect the life of communities, their assets, and ways of life, as well as tourism infrastructure and tourists themselves. As we can see at this global pandemic, we, as the tourism industry, are now adapting to these changes. In order to achieve these opportunities, countries should strengthen their incentives for the tourism sector to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions and adopt environmentally friendly policies, as it has the potential to play a key role in combating climate change, according to a United Nations-backed report. The tourism industry should focus its action on the application of technologies and the adaptation of tourism businesses and destinations to new environmental conditions. And that would be the end of my report. Thank you for watching.